सो जो टॉप टीयर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन है, दे नीड टू गेट फुल ऑटोनॉमी. क्या चाहिए उन्हें? फुल ऑटोनॉमी चाहिए. एंड वी हैव टू डू अवे विद द आउटडेटेड रेगुलेशन. जो आउटडेटेड रेगुलेशन उनको हटाना चाहिए. तो वी हैव टू डू अवे विद द आउटडेटेड regulation. And we have to focus on the quality higher education. So we need to focus on the short term and long term manner. We have to transform the higher education sector in a time bound manner. में time bound manner में transform करना. We have to transform the sector in a time bound manner and with some immediate measures include जैसे granting greater autonomy. Immediate measures क्या होते हैं? Granting greater autonomy and university opening up the activation process to third party. So university अपना जो accreditation process दें to third party agency, opening up giving the accreditation to third party agency. So there is a proliferation of low quality institution. तो higher education में दिक्कत है proliferation of low quality institution. So what we require, we need to improve the functioning and institutionalism of the institution we have. So our higher education institution do not fall in the map of the world class institution, do not fall anywhere in the map of world class institution. So our gross enrollment ratio in the higher education is very low as compared to the average developing countries. Our gross enrollment ratio is very low, only 20%. In South Korea, it's 93%. Improving the quality of higher education. Quality improve करने के लिए need structural strategic transformation. We need structural strategic transformation for improving the quality. We need structural strategic transformation. एक metamorphic change चाहिए in the paradigm of the. एक metamorphic change कैसा चाहिए? Metamorphic change चाहिए in the paradigm of the education. So we use extensive use of the ICT is needed. Extensive use of the ICT is needed. Academic reform is required. Academic reform. We need to upgrade the syllabus. And financing issue. Financing issue is the. In higher education is important that big transformation takes place. Big transformation takes place. अगर देखें तो आज टुडे इकोनॉमीज आर ड्रिवन बाय साइंटिफिक इनोवेशन, टेक्नोलॉजिकल इनोवेशन. तो टेक्नोलॉजी इकोनॉमीज किस तरीके से ड्रिवन है? दे आर ड्रिवन बाय साइंटिफिक इनोवेशन, टेक्नोलॉजिकल इनोवेशन. तो इकोनॉमीज आर ड्रिवन बाय साइंटिफिक इनोवेशन, टेक्नोलॉजिकल इनोवेशन. टेक्नॉमीज आर ड्रिवन बाय साइंटिफिक इनोवेशन एंड टेक्नोलॉजिकल इनोवेशन. सो वी नीड quality higher education institution where cutting edge research is done. कैसी research हो? Cutting edge. So we need good quality higher education institution यहाँ पे cutting edge research is done. So it is that step taken by the government is noteworthy, but at the same time it is important that the institute that all the institute cannot excel. So government is grading the institute so that a better institute can be given greater autonomy and can get the opportunity to excel. So we must focus on innovation as well, providing appropriate skill to the people so that they can become the tools for societal transformation. तो हमें skill provide करने हैं लोगों को so that they can become tools for societal transformation. So IITs for a long time has been feeding the economies of USA and West largely. So they are feeding the economies of USA. तो IITs जो भी हैं जो हम जो निकलते हैं, they are feeding the economies of US and West largely. They are feeding the economies of US and West largely. So innovation as a spirit need to be imbibed by schools and universities. So innovation as a spirit is need to be imbibed by the university and schools. So innovation needs to be imbibed by the university and school. So innovation not only the scientific innovation merely does not refer to innovation का मतलब यही नहीं कि scientific innovation does not merely refer to scientific innovation but innovation of the arts, language and creative look, aesthetics, innovation of the art, language, aesthetic. That Indian arts, Indian music has flourished outside the university system. So the best of the musician come through the max pay. बेस्ट क्लास इंस्टीट्यूशन जो आते हैं वो इंडियन जैसे मिक एस पे करके कुछ है, भटनागर स्कूल ऑफ म्यूज़िक, हाथखंडे म्यूज़िक इंस्टीट्यूट, हाथखंडे म्यूज़िक इंस्टीट्यूट लखनऊ. तो ये डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी है. तो अपने जितने भी तो जो मतलब जो म्यूजिशियंस होते हैं दे डू नॉट कम फ्रॉम आवर यूनिवर्सिटी बट दे कम फ्रॉम आउटसाइड यूनिवर्सिटी. सो कटिंग एज नॉलेज चाहिए, डेवलप इन द फॉर्म्स ऑफ डायलॉग नीड्स टू बी, स्पिरिट ऑफ यूनिवर्सिटी एजुकेशन नीड टू बी. So there should be cutting edge knowledge. So there should be cutting edge knowledge in all forms, all forms. So innovation सिर्फ ऐसा नहीं है, scientific innovation it should be multi-pronged. कैसे होना चाहिए? Multi-pronged. Even sportsmen we are not generating in the university and schools. So blueprint of the academia was laid as long as back as 5th century BC by Plato. So Plato कब थे? So he was in 5th century BC. So the blueprint of the academia was laid as back as 5th century BC by the Plato himself, who suggested the finest training in the gymnasium, in music, in philosophy. So university should become the site of the universal knowledge. So they should become site for universal knowledge. Self-reflection क्या है? It is the role of the university. Comprehensive change, fundamental change is required in terms of the university ecosystem. तो किस में change चाहिए? University ecosystem में fundamental change. So we have to move away from one size fit all approach. We should have a cluster or 3 different clusters of university. So there should be highly research oriented university, highly selective research oriented university. So they should generate world class leaders in the cutting edge research. Second होनी चाहिए प्रोफेशनल एजुकेशन सेंटर यूनिवर्सिटी. वी शुड एम एट क्रिएटिंग हाईली एम्प्लॉयबल ग्रेजुएट्स. तो एक प्रोफेशनल एजुकेशन होनी चाहिए सेंटर, एक प्रोफेशनल एजुकेशन सेंटर यूनिवर्सिटी विच एम एट क्रिएटिंग हाईली एम्प्लॉयबल ग्रेजुएट्स. Should bring highly skilled jobs in manufacturing sector. Third is a cluster would be liberal arts and basic science university that could be most probably based on the kind of university where meant for expanding the reach of everybody with interest in the higher education and focus on the holistic approach. We will focus on the holistic education. So every university should be specialized in area and focus on conducting university. So we need a fundamental change in the ecosystem of the country. So India faces, compared to other countries, India faces different set of challenges. Today, nearly 25% of Indians do not have access to electricity. Many people do not have access to good quality of drinking water, do not have good access to healthcare facilities. So while introspection, we keep on doing the same thing as we were doing. तो हमें अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी को वर्ल्ड क्लास इंस्टीट्यूशन बनाना है और वी शुड फोकस ऑन द आवर यूनिवर्सिटी शुड फोकस ऑन द फाइंडिंग सॉल्यूशन to the problems the country is facing. Our university should focus on finding solution that problem our country is facing. So we should not overemphasize or getting the top ranks in the world class institution. We should strengthen our university so that they provide better quality education to a large number of the people of the country and enable them to stand on their own and focus on the solution that is faced by the society. So there is a political and bureaucratic जो interference होना वो कम होना चाहिए. Autonomy मिलनी चाहिए यूनिवर्सिटी को. So it is considered a very shiny idea. It's considered as a very shiny idea. And autonomy will work. ऐसे नहीं autonomy दे दी बस. They will work when they reflect on their own practices. When the institution reflect on their own practices. So the university should have a capacity to innovate, capacity to embed itself. So there should be reflective integration of the university itself, a reflective integration of the university. So academic reforms is needed. Curriculum जो देखे तो they are not revised for many years, so 10 to 20 and 30 years. So market relevant हमें study चाहिए, market relevant. So what is changing so rapidly and there is completely disconnected what is the most of the university teaching and what is required in the markets. So there is a completely disconnect between what the most of the university are teaching and what is required in the market. So we should establish a system in which curricula are revised every 3 years and involving the industrial expert as well as the students. There are multiples of regulators in higher university for UGCA, AITCTA. So license Raj in education sector continues even today. The license Raj ended in 1991, but in education sector it continues even today. So autonomy, university themselves are not revising the curriculum. So we should select the best faculty in the university and we should review the performance of the teachers in university and reward the best teachers. So we should bring accountability in the performance of the teachers, accountability in the performance of the teacher. The institution can raise their own funds. Internal funding can raise the collaboration with the industries. A university must become a sandbox for startups and innovation. Students themselves embedded a sandbox for startups and innovation.